Doval and Wang analyze disengagement efforts and request urgency in discussions. India and China have agreed to accelerate steps toward total disengagement in eastern Ladakh, which is necessary for repairing ties. NSA Ajit Doval and Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi discussed this during the BRICS NSA conference. Both parties highlighted the importance of peace along the LAC for regional stability and bilateral relations. In a meeting between NSA Ajit Doval and Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi on the margins of the BRICS NSA's meeting in St. Petersburg, India and China agreed to redouble their efforts and work under emergency conditions to achieve complete disengagement in the remaining areas of eastern Ladakh, which India sees as critical for normalizing Sino-Indian relations. A Chinese readout, which did not expressly reference disengagement, stated that they reviewed progress in border discussions and agreed that stability in relations is in both countries' long-term interests. The Doval-Wang meet was the latest in a string of high-level diplomatic meetings in recent months aimed at breaking through in the continuing discussions to complete the disengagement process and end the military blockade that began in May 2020. Aside from 2 rounds of diplomatic discussions in recent months to resolve the persisting concerns, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar met with Wang twice in July on the edge of international meetings to emphasize the need of ending the deadlock and restoring LAC peace and tranquility. The meeting gave the two sides an opportunity to review the recent efforts towards finding an early resolution of the remaining issues along the LAC, which will create conditions to stabilize and rebuild bilateral relations, the Indian government said in a statement. Doval stressed to Wang that quiet and tranquility in border regions, as well as respect for LAC, are vital for normality in bilateral relations, emphasizing that both parties must completely comply with relevant bilateral agreements, protocols, and understandings achieved by the two governments in the past. Doval previously met Wang on the sidelines of the BRICS NSA's conference in Johannesburg last year. As before, they agreed that the India-China bilateral relationship is important not only for the two nations, but also for the region and the globe. Jaishankar and Wang called for strong guidance to end the standoff in July, and while a settlement has proven elusive, both parties have sounded optimistic about the discussions. Following the diplomatic meetings last month, China stated that both parties had reduced their differences and resolved to seek a mutually acceptable settlement as quickly as possible. Both parties have accelerated their efforts to disengage in the remaining areas, realizing that any breakthrough might open the door for a bilateral meeting between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Xi Jinping at the BRICS summit in Kazan in October. The leaders will meet for the first time in Kazan since their informal encounter at last year's summit in Johannesburg. Modi used the meeting to express his worries about unsolved border issues, as well as to advocate for an expedited disengagement and de-escalation process. That meeting, however, was clouded by a disagreement about who initially suggested it. While China claimed that Xi talked with Modi at his request, India refuted this, stating that it had just reacted to a pending Chinese request for a bilateral meeting between the two leaders. That's all for the news. Subscribe to the Aryavart Media for top updates.